Can animals tell when a human is evil? There is a moment most people have experienced but never fully understood. You walk into a room with a dog that has never met you. The dog belongs to someone else. It does not know your name, your history, your intentions, and yet within seconds it has already decided something about you. Maybe it runs toward you. Maybe it backs away. Maybe it stares at you with something that looks uncomfortably like suspicion. You laugh it off. Animals do not understand people. They just react to smell and sound and movement. But what if that explanation is not enough? What if something more complicated is happening? What if the animal in that room knows something about you that even you have not admitted to yourself yet? This is not a simple question, and the answer is not what most people expect. Animals do not read evil the way humans do. They do not have a concept of morality. They do not sit and judge whether your actions were right or wrong according to some internal code. They do not know about your past or your crimes or the things you did when nobody was watching. But they read something else entirely, something older than morality, something that existed long before humans invented words for good and bad. They read your body. Every living animal that has survived long enough to exist today is descended from creatures that could not afford to be wrong about danger. The ones that misjudged threatening signals died. The ones that correctly read the difference between safe and dangerous lived long enough to pass that ability forward. For millions of years, reading bodies was not a skill, it was survival, and humans are bodies first. Before you speak, before you explain yourself, before you construct the version of yourself you want others to see, your body has already been broadcasting. Your posture, your muscle tension, the way your eyes move, the speed of your breathing, the tiny micro-expressions that cross your face in fractions of a second and disappear before any human consciously registers them. Animals catch what humans miss. Dogs are the most studied example, and the results are consistently strange. Research has shown that dogs pay close attention to how humans treat other humans. In one study, dogs watched their owners struggle to open a container and ask a bystander for help. When the bystander refused to help, the dogs were significantly less likely to accept food from that bystander afterward. They had watched a social interaction between two humans and formed a judgment based on what they saw. They were not reacting to smell. They were not reacting to a direct threat. They were watching how one human behaved toward another and adjusting their trust accordingly. That is not simple animal instinct. That is social evaluation. Horses show something similar. Research into equine behavior has found that horses remember human facial expressions. If a horse sees a photograph of an angry human face and then meets that person in real life displaying a neutral expression, the horse still responds with elevated stress. It remembered the face. It carried the information forward. The neutral expression in the present did not erase what it had learned from the image. The horse was tracking something across time, holding information about a specific human and using it to predict future risk. Crows are perhaps the most unsettling example. Studies have shown that crows can recognize individual human faces and hold grudges that last for years. In one experiment, researchers wore specific masks while trapping crows. Later, when people wore those same masks in the same areas, crows that had never personally been trapped still mobbed and harassed the mask wearers. The information had spread through the crow population. Other crows learned from the experience of crows they had never met. The crows built a reputation system. They shared information about which humans were dangerous, and they acted on it collectively. But here is where the question gets genuinely uncomfortable. What animals are detecting is not evil in any philosophical sense. What they are detecting is stress, deception, and threat signals in the body. And those signals are not always produced by people who intend harm. They are also produced by people who are afraid, people who are nervous, people who have been through trauma and carry it in the way they hold their bodies, people who are simply uncomfortable around animals. An animal cannot tell the difference between a person who is nervous because they plan to cause harm and a person who is nervous because they were bitten by a dog as a child. The body language can look similar, the stress signals can overlap. So when a dog backs away from someone, it is not always detecting evil. It is detecting a signal that its survival instincts have been shaped to treat as a warning. The accuracy of that detection depends entirely on context. And yet, there are enough documented cases, enough stories from enough different cultures across enough different centuries of animals refusing to go near certain people. Dogs that growled at strangers who later turned out to be dangerous. Horses that would not settle around handlers who were later found to be cruel. Crows that specifically targeted individuals who had threatened them. It would be too easy to dismiss all of it as coincidence. The most honest answer to whether animals can tell when a human is evil is this: they cannot read your soul. They do not have access to your intentions or your history or the moral weight of your choices. Evil as a concept does not exist in the animal brain the way it exists in ours, but they can read your body in ways that are faster, more detailed, and more accurate than almost any human can. They catch signals we suppress. They notice patterns we overlook. They remember faces and voices and smells and behaviors across long stretches of time. They share information with each other about which humans have proven dangerous, and they make decisions based on all of it. So, the next time an animal refuses to warm up to someone who seems perfectly fine on the surface, it might be worth asking what the animal is reading that you are not, because it has had millions of years of practice, and it has never needed to be polite about what it notices.